with a new episode of the Corporate Happiness Show. I'm your host, Jacqueline Pirtle, and I tell you what, today's guest it's almost like an old friend, right? I'm having an old friend here, and because we kind of go way back and we met through our books because they kind of are in the same flow, gratitude and happiness, happiness and gratitude. So welcome, Kerry. It's so good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I think we should dive right in. Should we just start with your book about gratitude? Because you're a chief operating officer and you're basing your work, on breathing and living gratitude and mindfulness. So just enlighten us what this whole thing is about and what you do every single day to make, your people's lives really magical.
Sure. It goes back. So I've been working at the same company at Actualize Consulting for the last 17 years. And the last 12 of those, I've been very, very focused on our people first and foremost. And I didn't have a huge plan other than I knew that we needed to focus on our people first and foremost. And one of the easiest ways is to use gratitude. And I use the word infusion. Both of my books have the word infusion. So culture infusion and gratitude infusion, because you have to really be infusing everything that you're doing on a daily basis. It can't just be a one-time thing. So when we're speaking about gratitude and that as a focus, it's in everything. So it can be from how we're communicating to each other on a daily basis. We also always celebrate kudos and wins. We have a lot of unsolicited kudos from our clients that we will actually put in our newsletter. And that is something that, we use that for their performance too. If you don't have to get, formal survey like responses back from our clients because we are getting so much of that feedback. So we share that and we celebrate that. We also allow our people to give star player, awesome team player, like really recognizing their teams. And so it's this culture of celebration and really everything is celebrated that people are doing because people work hard. So it's important to be recognized, and just sharing that gratitude across the board makes it really easy, and it makes it a culture that people are very supportive of each other.
I love that. The word infusion, it's just so uplifting, yet it's something also like very graceful. And I think when you say infusing, to me it's like you're infusing, you're becoming more mindful about it, about the infusing your life and who you are, and shifting the focus onto the good, the positive, the gratitude. And slowly but surely, you don't infuse it anymore. You actually, you are it, you're showing up as such. And the infusion then can go and focus on something different, always in a positivity, of course. But I love infusion, I love this word because it's really kind of fulfilling, right?
It is. And it goes back to even, cooking, it's like you're infusing flavors
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
that makes it better too, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I like that. Infuse it with vanilla and cinnamon and chocolate and all that good stuff. Yeah, no, that's good. And also what kind of sprung out to me when what you said before is like that celebration of the good, right? It's like you shift the focus in your company and who you are in life too, but you shift the focus in your company onto the good, onto the wins. And it's actually you allowing people to celebrate. A lot of times we have a win and we don't want to say it too much because,
right.
but it's not about that. It's about when you have a win and in your company, you're allowing the people to celebrate those wins. It lifts everything. Wouldn't you say so?
It does. It does. And I have, this other philosophy of pausing to pivot to a positive, even because there are going to be challenges, right? And even, I had recently, conversation with somebody and I was like, I hear you that there's this challenge that we're facing, that being said, I need to focus on how we're moving forward. And, going back to that 3P strategy, and it even having techniques like that within the organization, because it's not like I don't want to understand about the challenge, but I'd rather focus on how are we going to move forward in a positive way. And it just, again, it shifts that focus.
Yeah, it's like an acknowledging of the situation, because without acknowledging, you don't know what you're dealing with.
That's right.
Acknowledge what it is and then shift into, it's almost like my steps are accept, respect, appreciate, thank, and love. And then that shifts you into like a neutral space in which you can actually then focus on the good. And that goes along with your steps. Would you mind like really quickly kind of like go through these steps?
Sure. And I mean, I can give you like an example. I always try to walk through an example of something recently that happened. So we had some turnover within our internal like finance accounting function. And my team was kind of, spinning in this negative piece. And so I was like, okay, I know that there's a problem. And I just kept saying, let's focus on one step at a time to make sure that we're getting to this positive resolution, this positive place of being able to, get through the month. I mean, because if you think about a company, the accounting function and more consulting company, it's pretty important. Our business isn't complicated financially, but we have to get the invoices out. We have to, get that money in. That's how
Absolutely.
we do business. So I kept, instead of like this spin and what was going wrong, I just kept saying, I hear you, but let's talk about how can we keep streamlining the organization? How can we use technology? What additional resources do we need in place? And I just kept focusing on those pieces. And I have to say, I mean, we literally closed the books, have our reporting package out in 10 days this past month. I mean, record time.
Amazing.
Amazing. And
which in positivity, there's never a limit, right?
Yeah. And I sent it. That's right. And I sent the key person who really stepped up. I sent her flowers today, and I was like, hey, record time, everything went completely smoothly. Thank you for staying on track and really being a part of this. So yeah,
that's amazing. And then that you're actually doing something kind to acknowledge that with the flowers, something that really touches that person's heart, because they're gonna show up even further for you, even
That's
deeper,
right.
even
Yeah,
more.
I wanted to recognize, like, I don't think we've ever closed that quickly.
That's amazing.
This is a completely new strategy, right? So you have to stay focused on the end game, and it just makes it, and then people get excited about it too, right?
That's true.
And she even sent me, the same person sent me a little plaque, and it was like, I'm in awe of you. And so it's contagious. It's that gratitude's contagious. Like, and it was funny because I was already thinking I was going to send her, flowers the day that that we closed. I knew it was going to be quick, but then she sent me something first.
That's funny. That's what you guys are beating yourselves for who's first for being good and happy and uplift. And like you said, it's like, I like that. Focus on the end game. And then what I would say is, so you have different roads in how to get there. And if you choose the uplifted, grateful, open-hearted, and humane road, you're going to get there quicker. And you're going to have so many people rooting for you on the sidelines that you're picking up speed, right? It's really about focusing on the end game, but picking which road you're choosing to get there.
That's right. Absolutely. Exactly.
Right? And when you said, like a little bit before, you said, I hear you. Oh, so powerful. Do you think people are not heard? Do you think that's a real issue in the workplace? Because this is about the workplace.
That's an issue in life, not being heard. I think it's a gift to listen to people. I say that all the time. You may not agree with what somebody's saying, yet they need to be heard.
Yeah.
And that's why you say, I hear you. You use simple techniques like that. Because however they're feeling, it is what it's okay, and maybe it's not the best idea, or maybe it's a little off, but they need to be heard for sure.
I like that. I like that. It's very powerful. I hear you. And especially, I mean, privately too and in life, but especially at work, I do always hear with my, focus research groups, which you were part of it too. Thank you for that. And what's where people are hurting actually at work, and it's I'm not heard. I have no
Yeah.
voice. I'm not heard. And that is very hurtful. It's very hurtful. And a lot of times people then shut down and they're not going to show up for your company fully and excitedly, when they're not heard. And some, it's like they're maybe so used to it. That's just how life goes for them. So they keep going on and then they pay it forward and they don't listen either. So I love that you're taking that lead, and I hear you. Because that touches somebody so deeply, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
It does, right?
It's
So
super easy.
it's so easy, right? It's all free. It's easy. It's really to shift to more of a humane way of being a leader.
Absolutely. Yep.
Absolutely, right?
And leading by example is so important. And if you are like, we've got this, we're going to make this better, then your team's gonna, like you said, like we were all coming together and we were getting excited about like little tiny, like we'd be like, okay, that was a tiny win, but I'm going to take it. So you've got to break it down into pieces like that. And I always also say, like, what's like one thing that I can do today? And so if you're kind of just focusing and breaking it into smaller pieces, it makes it a lot more attainable too for people.
Absolutely. No, I love it. I mean, we go hand in hand here. So you experienced kind of like low vibe, you know, work cultures before too. And how did that feel? And then what did you do? Where was the big shift? And how was the outcome? How did the outcome feel?
Well, I've been at Actualize for 17 years, so I've been here a really long time. I'd say the first, when I was working in bigger consulting firms, there wasn't the ability to work, it was very siloed. So you'd have one group, that specialized in this area, another group that specialized in a different area. And I just remember one time another group came to me and they said, we'd like you to work on this project. And then my manager said, no, you're in our cost center and you can't work on that other project. And I was like, I was younger in my career and I was like, I don't understand. It's like, doesn't the revenue go to the whole company? So that's one of the things that, like, it Actualized, when we were setting up the infrastructure, we didn't want there to be competition between groups, and you wanted to create that environment that you feel like you can support people, and you're not you don't want to be at competition with your coworkers. That doesn't make any logical sense, right? So I think that was one lesson I learned earlier in my career. And then even when we first started at Actualize, we were very focused operationally and financially building the firm the first 5 years. And then just making that shift to our people first has been extremely rewarding. Having this amazing culture that we have, winning, awards that are based on surveys that are going out to our employees, such as, like, we're been in, the Washington top place to work, the Washington Post. We're certified as a great place to work, multiple awards, and all of that just validates all the work that we've put in.
That's wonderful. Congratulations. So well deserved. So well deserved. So, what do you like when somebody is listening and thinking like, okay, so this gratitude thing and infusing my company and my work with that. Can you give us like two, three simple practices that you do? Like, where do people start with that, right? Because in my eyes, anybody can start. If you're a leader or if you're an employee, you can start right now. Where would you say to somebody to start? So it's a little bit like the change and the shift comes a little bit simpler and easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing I always say is that using gratitude in your own personal team, you don't need buy-in from anybody. You can do it on your own team. So one of the simple practices that my team does internally, and I don't do this at a firm-wide level, but I do it weekly with my internal team. And we have a Google Jamboard that we use. It started with email, but I love the Jamboard because you can, kind of see the history. But we'll say an internal, like, so why am I grateful for something that I personally did this past week? And then an external gratitude. So it could be somebody on the team, it could be more personal. And then what's a win that you had in the past week? And what I've found is that just brings us together because we're sharing both personally and professionally. And it's just a way to celebrate every week. We usually include pictures. That's why I like the Jamboard. And it's just, like I have, for instance, one of my team members, she's a first time grandmother, and being able to see her journey, because she's always talking about her granddaughter, and she knows I love the picture so much, she sends me texts like outside of that, just because I love this little girl so much. Like, I love babies. And so it just brings you together. So that's something you can easily do with your team, just to build a bond. And because that is if you go back to like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that need for connection is so important. So you could do that with your own immediate team. Easy peasy. It doesn't take that much time, and I promise it'll bring you a lot of joy. The other thing that you can do is start acknowledging, if you don't want to do that big of a project, start with, hey, here's our team win for the week. Or maybe you do a team win for the month, like celebrating everything that's good going on with your team on a regular basis. However, whatever frequency works for you. Maybe you have a team meeting every week or every month. Start it with gratitude. Do a round robin and make sure everybody gets gratitude mentioned for them. That's a really awesome feel-good way to either start or end a meeting as well.
I love that. And it's so simple. It's so simple. It's just that we're mostly programmed not to practice that. And, back in time, let's face it, that this whole gratitude and open hearted business thing is kind of like, there has that aftertaste of it being a little weak, too soft, right? And I believe that we're actually invited in a shift to really celebrate that, to really make that the way we do business. Do you think that's where the invitation sits, where we're supposed to be heading?
I agree. And I do think there's some more traction, especially after the pandemic, that people are having more value on their own personal lives. And I think I told you this in our earlier conversation. I've really shifted, instead of work-life balance, it's life-work balance
I
now.
like that, like that.
Life, because life comes number one. And I think there's the invitation that you really need to allow people to go through what they're going. And many times I find that most times people are dealing with personal things, and giving them the opportunity to be open about that. Or, do they need to take a little bit of extra time off? Do they need to reduce their hours for a certain period of time? And we're very open to that as an organization. And I think that's a form of giving back and gratitude. Like, we know you're going to have life challenges, and we want to support you in that as well.
I love it. It's like honoring your employees, honoring them. And something that kind of came in when you were talking just now, it's like if you create a workspace of gratitude, open heart, safety, humanize it. When somebody has a hard time, a lot of times they actually love coming to work because it fills them up with positivity. It helps them actually pick themselves up. It helps them heal. It helps them go through what they're going through. So you actually, inviting them to come to work because it's a good place to be. It's a shift into the goodness. Whereas if you have a really harsh or colder environment, people need to take time off to heal or to deal with their personal thing because they can't handle more problems and more hardship on top of what they're already doing. So in reality, you're actually feeding as a company what you'd like, which is your people to come to work. No?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like,
No, and it's
wow.
funny that you even say that because I recently, I was out of town from my personal home for like 2.5 weeks, and I did work half of that time. But it was good to like take time off, but then also come back to my work family as well. I didn't feel like it was work. So that's an interesting point. Like it felt good. And, I had the flexibility. I could do personal things too, but I was just checking in, and that was my own personal choice. So
Because it fulfills you, it makes you
yeah, it
happy.
does.
It
It
makes you
does.
and it kind of like when you have a workspace that's full of gratitude, well, it just enriches your own gratitude. And
Mhm.
even on days where you maybe get up, and say, I just can't feel it, what am I gonna do today? Oh, I'll just go to work and I will be fulfilled with gratitude and smiles and whatnot. And by a couple hours into the work time, I'm feeling fine. I'm great. And then you can pay that forward. It's like it really creates a better world in the
Mhm.
cultures that you create. So, what are the names of your books? Because I know listeners are going to want to know that.
Sure. The first one is Culture Infusion, 9 Principles to Create and Maintain a Thriving Organizational Culture. And the other one is Gratitude Infusion.
All right. And which book should somebody pick up? Which one first?
Doesn't matter, either one. And you can just read a chapter. If it's that, they're very organized. You could just read one chapter at a time as well. Either one is fine. And
Where can listeners get your books?
they're both on Amazon.
Awesome. Awesome. That's so good. That's so good. So, what do you personally do to really stay focused? Because as a leader, it's a responsibility, I believe so, to actually work super, super hard on you, even if that's even work, making yourself aligned and feeling good. But
Seems
it's like
like a lot of work. I seem days.
sometimes, but
Some days.
then you just know that you're doing this for yourself. So what do you do so you are absolutely showing up to uplift whoever needs to be uplifted? Because as a leader, it's really up to you to do it first for yourself. What do you do personally?
I do I have a toolbox of things. I focus on I always ask myself, what do I need today to stay uplifted? And I'm a very big, and I do a lot of coaching, but I'm a big believer that any good coach has a coach. So I'm constantly working with a coach of some sort. I tend to like rotate through like what type of coach I might need at that moment. So I think that's really important for me personally. Moving every day is important. And then maybe some days I need to just focus on a list of gratitude. Maybe I'm focusing on intentions today. Maybe I'm going to be uplifted by sending flowers to somebody or starting working, doing a new charity campaign for the company, because I get a lot of gratitude for giving back as well. So I think I think it's important to tune in to what you need that day. Because if not, then, we ebb and flow every day. So
Yeah, and that's where mindfulness comes in, right? Because you're a mindfulness expert. That's where being mindful about these things. And I mean, to me, I don't know if you agree with that, but to me, gratitude is just so many good feelings. Gratitude is love, gratitude is happiness, it's health, it's success. It really is. And it's the fact that it's so many. It's a packed thing with good energies, and then you basically practice gratitude. And every time you practice something, you practice love, you practice self-love, you practice happiness, you practice health and success. So would you agree with that?
absolutely. Yeah. And that is, like the one gratitude, that word, it is so encompassing. And Robert Edmonds, he's written a lot about gratitude. He's done a lot of research on it, and it's fascinating, honestly.
It is, yeah.
And the thing about gratitude is that it does always feel good. It really does. And sometimes people are saying, well, I don't have anything to be grateful for. And I'm like, again, going back to like a small piece. Okay, well, did you eat today?
Yeah.
Do you have a house like focus on just those bare essentials and you can find something to be grateful for. So it's that simple too. If you have
I
like a
think so
naysayer,
too.
you could be like, okay, let me just challenge you for one little moment, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
keep it
yeah.
super simple. It doesn't have to be this elaborate, like what you're grateful for. It can be just the bare necessities daily.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's very simple, and basic is actually best with gratitude practices. Basic, go back to basics. Back
Mm-hmm.
to basics. It's really, really the most fruitful, I think. So, to other leaders, you're a superstar leader,
Oh.
so full. I mean, you're just sparkling. I just love hanging out with you, and I can tell that it's not just words. That's who you are. So, to leaders, like when you start your day, so you're all filled up for your personality thing and whatnot, you're feeling good, you're going to work, and you're leading a team. Now what do you do with your team? Like, do you reach out to people? Do they just know that they can always come to you? Or what are your kind of back to basic steps that you constantly, almost daily, perform to actually be the leader that you want to be? And this is just a little knickknack for other leaders out there. Where do they start?
I mean, I think it's important. I mean, I personally do, I have check-ins with most, I mean, I have a rotation of check-ins with people. So I'm, keeping a pulse of everyone. I'll do like team meetings. I mean, I think it's important. And now that after the pandemic, it's really been a big invitation for breakout sessions when you have like a bigger team meeting. So I think it's really making sure people feel connected, not only to me personally, but to the team. So facilitating connection, and that maybe they don't feel comfortable coming to me with something, but making sure they have somebody on the team that they can come to. So I think, having that open door policy is important, but maybe it's not me, maybe it's somebody else, but that constant. And I'll give you an example, like just yesterday, somebody, had wanted to switch some things around work wise. And, I got right on it. So again, I heard that person and I said, these are the things that we can change. And there's one that I'm, I'm going to ask that maybe if that person could keep this project, but I'm having a meeting with them today. I'm not just saying you need to keep it. I'm going to have a conversation. So again, hearing people and really working collaborative, and that whole connection is just it's not that hard. It really isn't.
No, and it's that human touch, right? It's
Mhm.
that human touch. I'm going to take these few minutes and I'm actually going to talk to them. And then you show up with such a gratitude attitude. I mean, it's like, it really is like you are going to find that solution that's best fitting for everyone. So everyone is actually taken care of.
And everybody feels a part of the solution too. I think that's key, is you know being a part of the solution, because if you have a say, you're going to be much more on board with
Oh, absolutely.
what you
Absolutely.
have, how to execute.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree very much. So you also offer coaching. What kind of coaching do you offer?
I love working with leaders, and helping them create and maintain these and thriving teams that want to be together. Focusing on what challenges are you facing right now, and how can we kind of work through those using some of the techniques that I use internally and with my other clients. So that's what I love to do.
That's wonderful. So You work as a leader in your own company. You wrote some books, two of them, wonderful books. I know them. And also, you are offering coaching. What's next for you? Like, do you have any project that you want to mention and you're super excited, or are you just
I
happy where you're at right now?
Well, I'm working on building out some more sessions to practice some of the principles. Like, so for instance, one that I'm really excited about is working with teams on how they can incorporate surveys to really hear what their teams need and want, and breaking them down. Again, I go back to that small bit pieces. So that's something that I've been building out right now that I'll be offering soon, which I'm really excited about. I think
That's
it's
super
a really
exciting.
easy way to make change within your organization.
That's super excited. And I've heard it before and I hear it all the time in my research groups and the podcast episodes. Surveys. Ask your people. Ask them what they want, how they want it, what's good, what's not good. Because when you ask them instead of just assuming, that means you're actually honoring them. You hear them.
Again, yes, I hear you.
I
And I
hear
think
you.
sometimes it might feel daunting. So having somebody come in and help you with that, that's what I'm excited about, helping my clients execute
Agreed.
and digest the information that they've seen. So
Agreed. And to see it on a grateful side, you get to know your people. And yes, there will be things in there that may not speak for you or how you do things, but that means it's a gift in itself, because you know more in what to change, so you can actually really have a gratitude culture in which people are actually happy, healthy, and also in a humane way, honor the people that actually make your company.
absolutely.
Right. Excellent. So where can people find you?
I'm on LinkedIn, Kerry Wekelo, or actualizeconsulting.com.
Excellent. Wonderful. And your books are on Amazon. That's amazing. So thank you for being on the show. I mean, I feel like, wow, what a co-creation.
Yeah, no, it was funny when we had first met. We had only been emailing, but I feel like you said, we've been friends forever. So thank you so much.
Old friends doing
Yes,
good things. I really appreciate you, and I think you're amazing. So
I
thank you
think
for
you are
making
as well.
the world a better place. So thanks so much for being on the show. Appreciate it. And to the listeners, I hope this inspired you, and please take it with you. Take it in your heart and go do this whole gratitude, grateful thing, because it's gonna change everything for you. Thank you.